Our meetings are live streamed at YouTube/Town of Camden, Maine. And as usual, if you want to participate remotely, you are welcome to go onto the website and click the Zoom link for tonight's meeting. And we will do our best to spot you if you raise your hand on the board. So we'll start off with any public comment on non-agenda items. Is there anyone here from the public who would like to comment on a non-agenda item? Seeing none, we will move on to approval of the board minutes from September 23rd, 2025. Any additions, deletions, corrections?
It's not a substantive change, but on line 131, between the words budget and the, we should change ant to and.
Ah, good spotting. Any other changes of note? If not,
To accept as,
Oh, there was one item on here where I didn't think it was a discussion item, not an action item. It is on row 121. And it says the board agreed the trial period will serve to identify technical or communication issues. I don't remember there being a vote for agreement. I don't think there was.
no, I don't think that we voted.
Wasn't.
We just,
it was just a sort of in the discussion, there was an agreement or an acceptance of the idea that it would be without necessarily an action.
well, and I think it was
But the-
pursuant to your concerns, Chris, about the credit card security and the anti-skimming and the data security. So I think that we just agreed in
Yeah.
principle that we wanted to
I mean,
use
it's
this as a,
More of a semantic decision of the
Yeah.
word agreed. It was not a,
right, we didn't
Well,
vote.
that's where I was wondering, is it appropriate in a discussion item to have something that was an agreed on
Oh.
thing?
well, we were in agreement that it was, or
Yeah,
we discussed
Yeah,
that it was
we
a
were in
trial.
agreement.
discussed may be a better word than, because an agreement does imply that there was a formal.
That's fine. If you
Yeah.
feel more comfortable with that, we can make that
Yeah, I
change.
think that's more consistent
Okay,
Mhm.
with the topic, you know,
okay,
as far as the overall topic being discussion items.
great. All right. So noted.
Make a
We
motion
have a
to
motion.
accept the minutes with those two amendments.
In a second,
I'll second it.
any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Are you going to abstain because you weren't
Yes.
here? Okay, so it's
Exactly, thank
3-0-1.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, on to recognition of Mike Weed for his 30 years of dedicated service to the town. Audra.
So this was my mistake. I didn't catch it before the
Okay.
agenda went out. It's actually 40 years of service.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Okay.
So I will make sure that that is corrected and reposted. So I just wanted to say something, the quick story of Mike, because, somebody who gave the town that much time, I think that we owe him time to reflect on his service to the town. So back in May of 1985, a young Mike Weed wandered into the fire department just hoping to volunteer. But before he even made it down the hallway, Chief Bob Oxton stopped him and said, "Want a job?" And so just like that, Camden ended up with one of our most adaptable, unflappable, and I think everybody would agree, sneakily funny public servants. So Mike started as a dispatcher and a firefighter EMT before the police department moved to the regional dispatch. And so he was sent off to the fire department full time. And before long, he was wearing more hats than a lost and found man. He was doing ski patrol at the Snow Bowl in the winter. He was highway crew in the summer. And then eventually he landed a full-time gig in public works. And by 2011, he made his final transfer to the wastewater department, trading in his snow shovels and plow calls for the centrifuge controls and sludge science. And I think he'd tell you that he made the switch partly to get off the 24-hour call duty, but also because having one night skier wearing white was more than enough for him when it came to, grooming late night at the Snow Bowl. So, which I think, Jeff understands that as well. So over 4 decades, Mike's seen it all, from heroic pump station rescues under Camden Harbor. So he was there, of course, the day that is talked about in infamy when the force main that went from the C Street to the Bayview pump station under the harbor blew. So he's part of the heroics in fixing that issue, to the great upgrade from our old sludge press to our new fancy centrifuge, which he says is more efficient. You can actually find parts for it, unlike the old sludge press where they were sourcing parts on eBay. So through it all, he's been steady center of the crew. He's dependable, good-humored, and he's also the kind of guy who makes those 3 a.m. emergencies almost bearable for everybody else. So he was born right here in Camden in 1965. He turned 60 this month, and he's retiring alongside with his wife, Tracy, who's a fellow Camden legend, and she's worked for the police department, Snow Bowl, and Camden First Aid. They raised 2 kids, Kurt and Ashley, who we have no doubt have heard more wastewater jokes, and we all know what wastewater jokes are about, than they ever care to hear. So from the fire station to the Snow Bowl to the centrifuge room, Mike has spent 40 years keeping Camden running, laughing, and occasionally dry. He retires this week, and we're not sure if today is his final day or Wednesday's his final day. Really, because he's been here for 40 years, he's really earned the right to pick the day when the weather's best when he decides to leave. So from the fire station to this, so he's proof that sometimes the best careers start with a hallway ambush and a simple, would you like a job? So thank you so much, Mike, for your service.
That's awesome.
We're really going to miss him. If anybody who's had a chance to speak to Mike, he's just a really great person to be around. And prior to, kind of giving him an interview at the end of his 40-year career, I had no idea he had done so many different things for the town. So it's pretty remarkable that we got to keep him around for so long. And I'm really excited for him and his retirement, and hope that him and Tracy get to do some really fun things together.
That's awesome. Thank you, Audra. And thank you, Mike. It's a credit to him and also to the town as an employer, I think, to keep somebody for that length of time. That's really extraordinary. We're going to move up for Dan and Matt, who are here, just because we can get a little bogged down in some minutia here. But since you made the effort to come out, we've got your revocable license agreement for Dan Hall and Matt Dempsey at 6 High Street for installation of a fence along McGonagall Street on that town-owned property. And hopefully people have had a chance to look through the drawings and the license agreement.
Excuse me, I lost it. What agenda item are you recommending?
The
Is it
action
eight?
A, yeah, A8, 8A.
So I believe the process, isn't there a process we need to do for moving action items to go with to make a motion to vote, or no?
We can do that if you would prefer. I think it's our prerogative to adjust the agenda as needed out of courtesy to citizens who are here.
Well, I'm not
So I
saying that it isn't.
so I don't want to get bogged down. I want it, if you feel strongly about making a motion, you're welcome to, but we're going to, yeah.
Are you saying you would prefer that we don't vote on changing the agenda?
I don't really see a need to.
Okay.
But if you feel strongly about it, you're welcome to, but I don't see a need to. I think we would, just out of courtesy to these folks who made the effort to come in, if you want to come up and just introduce yourselves and tell us about what it is that you've got. I finally managed to figure it out from all your drawings.
I'm Dan Hall.
Please.
I'm Dan Hall, and this is Matt Dempsey. We own Camden Windward House on 6 High Street, and we've been doing extensive garden renovations. We have a permit in with the town for a greenhouse, and with the High Mountain Hall construction project that happened over the past couple of years, they're putting in that buffer zone and putting a 6-foot good neighbor fence along the property line. And we would like to match what they're doing there along the back of the property for just a cohesive entryway into the property. That area has always been an area where a lot of leaves collect, clogs the sewers back there, forces water down the property. And also it's a focal point for 8 of our rooms that arrive. It's the first impression they get pulling into the property. So we just want to clean that up a little bit, plant some nice plants and some stuff along the entryway there. So I don't know if you needed anything. I brought the survey we had completed with Landmark earlier this season, just to make sure that everything was pinned correctly. And we do have a contract with Midcoast Fence who's also doing the Bay Chamber property as well.
Just for people who maybe didn't read the documentation because they're hearing this, could you describe a bit the geographic location of this? I know you did it really quickly, but you lost me in that.
So if you're coming off of Mountain Street and turn onto McGuntacook, right past the Bay Chamber parking lot entrance is our back entrance to our property. It's tree lined right now. Up until we had the survey completed, we always assumed that tree line was always part of our property. We always maintained it. But now when we got the survey, we realized that that's actually town property. So we didn't want to go ahead with doing any changes to the landscape or anything without partnering with the correct people. So we started with Public Works. Dave St. Laurent came out. He walked the property with us. He's the one who actually recommended doing the fence along the back of the property first. And then after the last walkthrough with him, the suggestion was that we go diagonally up to the beginning of our driveway just for that cohesive, clean look.
So most of the fence is on our property. It's just when it gets to a point, it's going to angle and go right towards, there's a utility pole in the corner. And Dave had suggested angling and going straight at the utility pole, so it kind of cleans off that.
So the revocable license piece would only be about anywhere from, I guess, 12 to 16 feet or something like that. That was measured out. And then the regular perimeter part of the property would continue on our property line.
Are we able to bring up on this screen what would end up being page 27 of the packet, or is that not possible to do?
Unfortunately, unless maybe I could.
I have a hard copy of the pictures if that.
Yeah, I was just
helps
trying,
anything.
just easier for everyone to see. I think this is the property.
Yes.
And the tree line that you're mentioning.
Correct.
Kind of a nice picture to be able to show that, but.
Oh, that picture I don't have. I just
No,
have the
but
map drawing. Yeah.
we do.
Yeah.
We do. We could have it in the packet and they could point out where you mean, because sometimes, I know, the maps are there, the engineering is there, but sometimes, most people don't see it at a bird's eye view to understand where it's at. So
Okay.
if it was just, I don't know, if it's possible, it's page 27 if you're able to in the packet.
Yeah, 25 has the overhead view.
But yeah, that there. So you're talking about
So
right here, basically this tree line.
no, it would be where the Windward House sign right now is, where it says bed and breakfast parking. That's the utility pole that's on public property. So it would be right behind that pole on an angle going diagonally back
To the left.
to the left. Our line starts roughly about where that tree black line is in between the two trees by the tree house. So, yep. So it would go diagonally back from the pole and then turn and go along the back of the property line. So,
Perpendicular.
correct.
So who owns to the trees on the right? Is that part of?
That's also us.
Okay.
And the Bay Chamber fencing is going to be going all along that parking lot where that car is parked.
Yep.
They're going to have a 6-foot fence that's coming all the way up right to like where that picture ends.
Okay.
So we were going to replicate that same fence going that way.
To the left, on the left-hand side, a little bit behind the trees, just like the
Correct.
fence is going to be behind the
Yep,
trees.
and then it would angle out to that, where that utility pole is, so that it's kind of making an open
Yep.
way into Windward House.
Is there any issue with going beyond that pole, or is it right to the pole where you're gonna go?
It would go like right behind the pole, whatever clearance the
Yeah.
the utility,
CMP.
once Dig Safe comes in and Public Works and marks everything, wherever that boundary is, we would go up to that point that we agreed upon with Dave.
Not to exceed that.
Correct.
In the town property, where is that in that picture?
So the town property right now is that whole, from the beginning of the picture there, which we've always been maintaining with gardens, from the bottom where the page 1 of 1 writing is.
Yep.
So that's all town property, all the way up to probably right behind that first tree behind the pole.
What was that ever, is that,
It's just right of way.
it's all it is?
Yeah, yeah. And another, I think, point that's important for all of this. So if you look on the map, there's, a sewer line that you can see in one of the diagrams, and that was recently rehabbed, and also the stormwater lines that are near there. So, work has recently been done, so we don't anticipate needing to do anything there anytime soon. So it's
There are some drains that were added when Bay Chamber did that parking lot, so all of that
Yes.
work got done at that point.
And actually, the drainage on this side opposite Bay Chamber was done earlier this year. That was all part of that Magunta Cook with the flooding going into Hardin.
So what is it you're trying to screen with the 6-foot fence?
Just if there's no aerial shot of that right now, but we have fruit trees back there, and we have rows of fresh fruit, raspberries, blackberries. We have a dozen raised garden beds. We have a greenhouse back there. We're trying to go for a homestead look upon the entry of the back property of the garden, because our parking lot is halfway past that first garden area, and then we have a courtyard garden that abuts the home itself. So we're just trying to really lean into that. The future of hospitality is experiential experiences, and we're trying to really lean into that garden. We plate with all of our fresh flowers in the morning. It's something that we we're pretty passionate about it.
Hey, Audra, would you mind pulling up then page, now that we have a little bit of a visual from that way, can we pull up page 26, I believe is the one with the engineering diagram? Yep.
this one.
Yeah, that one. And then, so that little block
Yep.
that's up there, what is that? Looks like a little.
That's the treehouse.
That's
Yep.
the treehouse. Okay.
Yep. So that closest point, I guess, that's the circle closest to Magunta Cook Street.
Yep.
The idea is to have the fence, follow that line with the angle to the back of the property, and then go along the back of the property. So there'd be the two sections.
So where's the town property in that?
The town property starts that whole in between Magunta Cook Street, where the road curves. That entire piece right there is all town property. And
So-
that's where it's constantly for 8 or 9 years, we've been maintaining it because all the leaves build up in that area. So that's why we want to really clean it up and get it all set so that we don't have an issue going forward.
So that diagonal is sort of on the property line,
Yeah, we have a picture too of a drawing of what the proposed fence would look like. I don't know if it's in your packet on there, but it's,
I didn't see one. But the neighbors are okay? Have you had a chance to check with the neighbors about?
It's one page.
Oh, yep.
Yep.
Ooh,
the only neighbor that it's abutting against is the one along the back, which is where our fence is going, regardless of whether the difference is whether or not we just continue straight, which will make it look really off with the Bay Chambers, because their fence would go to the end and then ours would kind of look weird. So the option is to either go completely straight, which if we're to our drive, which if we don't get approval is what we would do. And then if we have the approval, the blue line would be the way that the fence would go.
Okay, so the blue line is
The blue line is the proposed fence.
Huh.
So it's really angling in that whole opening drive to our property. Because right now it's all overgrown.
Yeah.
It was bishop weed. There's a sewer drain there that's filled with leaves. And unfortunately for us, that's the first impression our guests get when they pull into our driveway, because our driveway entrance is off of McGuntacook Street, and they drive right along the tree line is our driveway.
And your driveway is not where it says 132. Your driveway.
Our driveway is
by 82.
Number 8.
yeah, right above the 132, that tree line. You
Yep.
can see the asphalt behind that tree line.
So that's your drive.
That's our
130
drive.
132 is the driveway, not 82.
Well,
No, the 132 lowest to the bottom
Oh,
of the
okay,
screen.
that one. Oh, I
That's
didn't
our
even realize
drive.
there's
Yeah,
two.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. Yeah, that's our drive in right there.
Yeah.
And then right past those 6 raised beds is where our parking lot for our, 10 vehicles is. So it's
Yep.
it's that back parcel.
So what is a revocable license? Does that need to get registered with the court, with the registry of deeds?
No,
This is just an agreement between us, and
yes, yep.
so what would it take if we needed to go in there and dig up the drain line or the,
Well, the terms are in the agreement that are in your packet.
So we would give them notice that we needed to do it, and entering into this, they know that if anything happens, that might be an eventuality.
What liability is there for the town to do this? Do they take the liability for that?
Also in the
Little strip.
agreement,
Yeah.
indemnify and hold the town harmless from and against liability, loss, cost, damage, or expense, including attorney's fees incurred by the town arising out of the installation, maintenance, or use of the revocable license hereunder. So that's all that is in the
and if
agreement.
you continue, Susan, on number 9.
Yep.
The maintenance is on them as well.
Right. And insurance.
Sure, and all that.
And then it's the same reciprocal. If we need access, we've got a certain number of days, and
Of course.
yeah, as with others of this type that we've looked at. Any other questions from the board or the audience?
Has this been reviewed by Bill?
Yes, Bill drafted the agreement.
Okay.
so how does this compare? A few sessions ago, we turned down an application for it was not a revocable license, it was a
It was a revocable license.
revocable
Yep.
license. Is this a comparable issue? I mean, I don't want to be setting any precedent where everybody can put up a fence or assume that they can put up a fence. So where are we at in comparing that previous action with this one?
Well, go ahead.
Sure. So that one was different in that it was right next to Harbor Access Point, and we've been doing work towards better identifying the boundaries of harbor access points and trying to make them more accessible to the public and easy to find. And that happened to be like right next to one. And, some of the area that the public could use to park to get to that access point would have been part of that license agreement. So there were a number of different reasons as to why that was sort of in conflict with, broader goals of making those more accessible to the public. This area is different in that it's in the right of way, but there's no reason to ever have plans to build a sidewalk or anything else in this area. We recently did work to the utility lines and the infrastructure here. So, it's good timing, and it's something that doesn't contradict other town priorities in terms of public access.
I think also to the extent that it improves the aesthetics of that corner, and we appreciate your wanting to maintain that area and that you have maintained it over this time. You're actually, I think, improving the public benefit of that area.
Yeah, it would be different, Ken, if there was a sidewalk impacted, or if people were having to walk around this fence or something like that. But where it's a dead end, it's
So are we prepared to make a motion and
I'll make a motion to approve their
revocable license?
revocable license. Thank you.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 4-0-1. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much
Yeah.
for
Appreciate
everything
you,
from
the
everybody.
quality of your business in town and drawing people to town, and
Thank you.
we wish you well.
Thank
you
you.
so
And
much.
Yeah.
just as a side note, if you guys are ever up on High Street, feel free to
Check this
peek
out.
on in the back
Okay.
gardens. And we have a lot of really beautiful stuff going on back there.
We will keep the coffee hot.
Thank
Thanks
you.
again.
Thank you.
It's 400, actually.
4-0-0.
Well,
Right,
one absent. I
One
guess
absent.
You might say.
right. Okay, so the consent agenda, we'll scroll back up, and if there are no issues with any of the items on the consent agenda, we will just pass that
Yep.
as presented. And I can just read those out if it's beneficial to the public. We're renewing the victualer's license for Sea Dog Brew Pub Camden and Snow Dog. And we're confirming the designation of the Registrar of Voters' office hours for the state referendum election to be held on November 4th, 2025, and confirmation of town clerk's appointment of Peter Gross as election warden for the state referendum election to be held on November 4th, 2025. So seeing no objections there, we'll move on. Select Board reports. Anyone have anything to report?
Well, sure.
Sure, I will.
Yeah.
We know it was a question that I had in the prior meeting concerning technology controls related to the paid parking items. And I wanted to just make note for the group and the public that we did receive on the next day. Audra did provide the security operation and controls report from that. And in my review of that report, the only item that was in there, there were no technology control items identified in that report. And there were, the only issues identified were typical administrative exceptions that I often see in reports of that nature, where someone didn't take an education class type item, not relevant necessary to the technology controls of the design system. So that was good. And there was another question that someone had, which was, where is the data? And the answer to that question is also in the report, which is there are 4 different data centers. 2 are in France, one's in New Jersey in the US, and one is in Canada. And given that it was a French-born company that controls the software, that's why it was resident there in France, and it's since also been purchased by a British company. But if people were curious about where the data really is, that's where it is. It's not in a third world country or other countries that are sometimes of a concern where data is. Just U.S., Canada, and 2 in France. So I just wanted to pass that along.
Thank you for your thoroughness with that. That was a good exploration. I appreciate it. Anyone else have anything to report?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do want to say I apologize that I missed the last
Oh.
2 meetings. I was 6 or 7 time zones away, and I couldn't make the timing and the technology work. But I got a couple of takeaways to share with you. We visited Sarajevo, which 30 years ago they ended their civil war there, and we heard from the people. They said they didn't see it coming, the civil war that is, and it can't happen here. And it seems to me that we need to take that lesson perhaps home, not here in Camden, but nationally. We didn't see it coming, and it can't happen here. Is things that we're hearing even today. The other thing is a visit to Dubrovnik, and they are enjoying the benefits of Airbnb. I'm saying enjoying in quotes, because Dubrovnik is a classic walled city. 3,000 or 4,000 residents lived within the walled city of Dubrovnik before the Airbnb became a common thing. Now it's been down to 300 or 400 residents now in
Really?
Dubrovnik. It has been basically hollowed out by Airbnbs. And it is very funny. You walk down these limestone alleys, and there's tourists with their roll-on luggage rattling down the streets. So it's not just here. It's universal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you for letting me share.
Good observations. Thank you. No, definitely pertinent to our lives. Chriso, anything?
I did notice that for those who get the Camden Can email newsletter, I thought it was a nice offer that they're doing a leaf exchange program for people who are raking their leaves. If you need leaves for compost, they are sponsoring a leaf exchange program as we are getting into that time of year of clearing yards. Just a nice little neighborly program.
I don't even know what to say to that. How do we manage the logistics of a leaf exchange? I'd like to watch that.
They're doing it. So
Yeah, okay. All right, I've got plenty. Anybody who wants them is welcome.
Oh, I got a lot.
Yeah, we got a lot. You got a lot. All right, town manager's report.
All right, so some project updates with the Molyneux Road sewer extension to Mountainside. We have 715 feet of 8-inch gravity sewer line that's been installed, 66 feet of sewer stubs, 870 feet of 6-inch force main, 510 feet of 2-inch force main, and 39 cubic yards of ledge have been removed. Currently, Headstrom Electric is completing the work, electrical work for the pump station. And also a contractor is going to be finishing the roofing and the siding on the pump house building. The sewer line trench will be paved next week, and the final overlay is planned for next year after the ground has had a chance to settle. And Ford Enterprise is working on weekends to recover some of the lost time from earlier delays that were experienced in the project. So that's moving along quite well. For the sidewalk construction on Ames Terrace and Rawson Avenue. So Ken, this is a new exciting one. So they're currently building a new sidewalk that's going to go from Washington Street to Rawson Avenue on Ames Terrace this season. And the curbing is going to be installed on Friday, and the whole thing should be paved and finished by Halloween. And then in the spring, they're going to pick up and finish that sidewalk from Rawson Avenue to Mechanic Street. So this is really exciting because it's been a big priority for the Pathways Committee for many, many years. So that's going along well. So for the pipelining project, I'll go through some stats with that. On Union Street, 1,590 feet of pipelining has been completed. There's 400 feet still remaining. On Park Street, 340 feet of pipe has been lined and 488 is remaining. Mechanic Street, 2,405 feet of pipe has been lined and there's 1,714 remaining. Washington Street, 1,195 completed, 1,614 remaining. Central Street, 347 completed, 318 remaining. So all up we're 56% through that project. And when Vortex was doing lining work on Washington Street, they discovered that Alden Street was so deteriorated, particularly where there's a connection to the manhole between Alden Street and Washington Street, that they had to do a temporary patch on that area where the line connects into the manhole. And through further investigation, it was found that Alden Street is going to have to be lined as well because it's in such poor condition. But this is all, part of kind of doing the cammering and the exploration as we go. So currently they're working on Union Street and Washington Street. So everybody's probably driven through town and seen the Vortex trucks and the traffic control around that. So it's a lot of a lot of linear feet of pipe that's been lined, a lot still to go. And we're just finding, more areas where we have an opportunity to line the pipe instead of doing the full replacement, it's great because, knowing that there's a problem, that it's fixable through lining as opposed to digging everything up it's just a much better outcome for us. So Alden Street, ready or not, it's on the list.
What did they do with all those quarters?
I still don't know. I still don't know.
The line
Yeah.
was full of quarters outside the car wash.
Yeah.
All these quarters that got washed down the drains at the car wash. They found a huge block. It
Yeah.
was made of quarters.
I'm gonna
So I ought to research
I'm gonna
that
keep
a
in
little.
mind I have to give an update on what happened with that.
But they've been doing an awesome job. I mean, because the road has been they've done a great job of directing traffic. It's been minimal invasion. So I really appreciate what they're
Yes.
accomplishing.
And really appreciate everyone's patience. We had a situation, I believe it was Friday evening, not ideal night, where right outside of, 40 paper, the liner had a rip in it. And part of the process is that, they put the liner in and it gets blown up like a balloon. And if there's a rip in it, you of course can't do that. So they had to pull the liner that they had already stuck down in there out. And they ended up, being there until 9:00 at night. And I know it was really difficult and frustrating for everybody involved and Vortex crew, the folks at 40 paper. So I just want to say how much we appreciate everybody's patience because construction is absolutely very disruptive to everybody who lives near it.
Yeah.
But I'm very confident that once this is done, it's going to be a much better outcome for everybody. So the Camden Public Library green roof. So Ken's fully aware of the leak in the director's office. And the Public Works Director was actually able to find where the leak was coming from through using dye testing tablets. And so now that they know where the leak came from, they're going to help to prepare it for Knowles Industrial Service to come in and repair the area where it was discovered. So that's a great outcome that problem can finally
I'm
be
curious.
solved.
Was it from the runoff from the lawn into the drain system, or was it overtopping the wall? I'm just very curious.
I know he told me, and I wish I could remember exactly what he said it was, but I'll get him to tell you the story because it's way more. I know I know to anybody listening, it probably sounds boring, but for Ken and other people who've been trying to figure out this for years, it actually is quite an interesting story. So I will get you a better update because it is quite interesting how they figured it all out.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that's a, great outcome. So we talked about the 2 Ford F600 plow trucks that we recently ordered. So they've been received and they're being outfitted by Allied Equipment. And both vehicles are expected to be in service by early November. So that's wonderful because we had a lot of equipment that broke down last winter. So they're very excited for new equipment that's a little more sturdy. So 39 Main Street, that has formally been closed. So the town attorney filed a compliance notice with the Registry of Deeds. So everything regarding 39 Main Street is concluded. They're moving forward with other repairs to the building, which is fantastic. Not the structural repairs, they're done with that, but other sort of
Right.
like the roof and.
But we were cautioned about just holding off until the appeal period is
Yes.
over on the interim order. So we're
Yes.
just,
Correct. And so we have a few snowball updates. So fall chairlift rides this weekend were a great success. So they generated $9,000 in chairlift ticket sales and then $2,000 in merchandise sales. So
wow.
very, very successful weekend.
Amazing.
Yeah. And and we can talk about this a little bit more. Maybe, Jeff can flesh this out a little bit. Now that the master plan is complete, one of our first implementation steps was to apply for a grant through the Main Trails program to rehabilitate and upgrade 6,000 linear feet of trail. And that application was submitted, and we're very hopeful that we're going to have a positive result for that, because a lot of these projects don't get funded because the planning and the engineering work isn't done. And we have very, very solid planning and engineering work to back up our grant
Great,
application.
great.
So
Which trails are those ski or bike trails?
bike trails and bike trails and multi-use trails. Yeah. And that's all the updates.
Awesome. Thank you.
I just have a quick question. $9,000 sounds great. What sort of expenses does it take to run that for a day? I mean, what's the profit? It's not all 9,000. You got to pay some people to.
That's a great question for Jeff to answer. I believe most of the staff associated with it are salaried people. I think there are a few hourlies, but the majority of the day, it's
Not like a ski day.
labor. Yeah. Yeah. So I know there is some expense to it.
Majority of expense, added incremental expense is electricity.
Okay.
Running the web.
What a great weekend it was.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Audra.
Is there going to be another weekend?
Yes. So every weekend in October on Sundays,
On Sundays.
fall chairlift rides. Great if you have family in town who want to see foliage.
Yeah. So we can segue into all of these snowball-related questions. Looks like the better part of the rest of our agenda is snowball-related.
It's my happy place.
It's your happy place.
And Susan, you may appreciate, for the record, there are actually two, my question about
Yeah.
a vote being needed
Oh.
for changing the agenda. There are two spots in our select board bylaws. One says for a change, which is more of a material change, it needs a vote. However, further on down in the document, it does state that the select board chair can go ahead and make the decision on reordering the agenda items.
I appreciate
So
that.
there are two pieces in there. And it was a question that Allison had before when I went and changed the order before. She was thinking it needed a vote, and that's what I'd remembered. But it doesn't.
Yeah, it certainly,
That's
like,
good to know.
like if it's a hearing, if there's a component that has high level public interest and they're expecting it to be the third item on the agenda, that's where you want to make sure, because people think, oh, well, that,
But that's not what it says.
I know, I'm just,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. So just a material change of an addition or a deletion versus an order change.
Thank you, Chris.
Just-
All right, so we've got snowball ticketing and rental building, we've got long-term lease agreements, and then we're going to just go right into action items on your licensing agreement with Side Country and Snow Dogs.
Perfect.
So we'll start with take it away, Jeff.
Thank you, Susan.
I just want to, Renee, just wanted to give you the heads up. I've got my laptop plugged in and Jeff has a PowerPoint.
So thank you, Susan.
You.
Good evening, everybody. Jeff Nathan, Camden Snowball General Manager, for the purposes of the discussion this evening. Very excited to have the opportunity to talk to you about some of the work that's been happening out at the Snowball. I stood before you last year to talk about the need to remove the old rental and ticketing trailer from the property, as it was no longer safe for customers or for employees at that point. I'm happy to report that at no expense to the town of Camden, the trailer has been removed from the Snowball property. So I originally put $10,000 into the budget for the removal of it, and we were successful at identifying somebody who was willing to take it away for us. So it's not there anymore. And one of the added benefits, if you have not been out to the Snowball, if you've been on the back deck, you probably would have noticed it. But you now have beautiful views of Hosmer Pond right from the deck of the Snow Bowl. It's been many, many years since we've done that. And with the fall foliage right now, it really is outstanding. So just to backtrack to the budget a little bit, I had, when we met to talk about the annual budget for the Snow Bowl, I had requested $50,000 in additional to the 10 for the removal to go towards the purchase or construction of a new rental and ticketing building, knowing full well that that would not be enough money to cover what needed to be covered. I estimated needing another $120,000 on top of the $50,000 in order to complete a new ticketing and rental building. Audra and I met with the Ragged Mountain Recreation Area Foundation and asked them to assist with paying for that, and really appreciative of their generosity, and they were didn't take long to come back and say they would be happy to continue to support the Snow Bowl and the town, and very generously donated $100,000 towards the construction of the new building. So if anybody from the foundation is out there watching this, a big thank you to all of you for your continued support and generosity. I'd like to, and forgive my drawing skills, this is not to scale, but I wanted to give you a sense of what the new building entails. So the top rendering is really the front of the building looking on to the front. And what you'll notice that we're going to be doing, which is different than what we've done in the trailer, is we're going to have the tickets being sold at a window. So they'll be sold outside. Guests won't have to come into the building in order to purchase their tickets. So if you're looking, there's 3 windows on the right. Those will be where tickets are sold. Next to that is where the entrance to the rental building will be, and we'll have a door in and a door out. And this way we can really do hopefully a much better job in this new configuration of making it easy for people to understand how that particular process works. The drawing on the bottom kind of illustrates a top-down view of what the building will look like. It's a very simple design. The area in the lower right-hand corner is going to be that ticketing area. So you see really a long bench there with in front of the 3 windows. Inside the rest of the building, most of it will be open space for ski racks, boot storage, helmet storage, et cetera. There'll be a workbench right in the front when people walk in, and then there'll be a testing bench and a couple of sinks in the back of the building. And then this building will be different between this one and the one that's existing there. This building will have a loft. The footprint of this building is 24 by 40 feet. We needed the loft for extra storage space. So think about things like February break or Christmas week, when our rentals will likely exceed the capacity of what we can keep in the rental building. The great news is we'll have that extra storage right upstairs in the building. It'll be maintained at a good temperature, and people won't have to walk outside to get the extra equipment. The other thing I would point out here is we did the footprint of the building. Interior is 24 by 40. Exterior is 30 by 40. So on the front of the building where the tickets are sold, there'll be a 6-foot overhang. So this way, as guests are coming up, if there is snow or inclement weather, they will be under cover. So that's the building design, and I'll talk in a minute about its location, which I'm really very excited about. So the new building, if you haven't been over to the Snow Bowl, is actually in the parking lot. And it's, I'll have a map in here in the following page, which we'll get to in a minute, but it sits perpendicular to the building we put in last year. And as a result of that, there's really a myriad of benefits. First thing is ticketing, rentals, retail, ski school, and race are all going to be on the same level and walking distance within this courtyard, if you will. So when somebody gets to the Snow Bowl, other than needing a restroom and going into the lodge, they're going to have access to everything they need right in the same area. We intend to put our fire pit that we've had there at the Snow Bowl for a number of years in what we're calling the landing area, which will be in front of the building. And we'll have benches there and maybe perhaps a picnic table, some ski racks. And what this is going to do for us is create an area that is really at parking lot level. That means it will be accessible to more people, perhaps people who were unable to get up the stairs into the lodge. It will allow people to have access to a lot of the amenities at the Snow Bowl without necessarily having to get up to the back of the lodge. So very excited about this. It's not a ramp, it's not an elevator, but it absolutely increases accessibility of the amenities at the Snow Bowl. If you look at the next page, we're doing a couple things, and so 1, 2, and 3 on the up top of the page is the existing building. That's the one we put in last year. So that's Side Country, Ski School, and Race. Then what's labeled as number 4 is the new building that we're putting in. The landing zone, that area I just described, that will have the fire pit and the tables and ski racks, that's number 5. So that's going to be this new area in front of this building and centrally located with all of this other stuff. 6 becomes the new drop-off area. So one of the things you'll notice is the arrows are all going in the same direction through the parking lot. We did lose, I'm estimating about 15 to 20 parking spaces. And as you know, parking is a premium at the Snow Bowl, particularly on holidays and weekends. In order to do a couple things for us, one, try to maximize the spaces that we have, and 2, improve traffic flow, and 3, improve safety, we decided to make the traffic pattern unidirectional. One way in, essentially one way out, and parking will be on a diagonal. Well before the season starts, we'll have a social media campaign. We're going to ask employees to park on a diagonal so that we can get everybody in the habit of parking that way. But having that number 6, that landing zone, or excuse me, that drop-off area, which will be located in front of the main doors to the lodge, in front of the landing zone, and in front of the stairs that will go up to the side of the lodge into the back deck. We think this is going to be a much safer zone to be dropping people off. And knowing everybody's going to be pulling into the parking lot the same way, pulling out the same way, pulling nose into a space and backing out. I'm really optimistic that it's going to be safer. The other safety component is that there are certain points last year where we had so many people parking kind of willy-nilly in the parking lot. Had we needed to get a fire engine into the parking lot, it would have presented challenges. And it was one of those items that I was constantly paying attention to on weekends and busy days to make sure that, in fact, emergency services would be able to access the lodge if necessary. So if we go to the next page, and it kind of just talks about some of the things I just mentioned, but the configuration for the traffic pattern is going to change. And I really think that this is going to improve the safety and accessibility. So I know this page is probably the most important page in here. I mentioned that I think the estimate in total was 170,000. I have 50,000 in the budget. I secured 100,000 from a generous donation from the Ragged Mountain Recreation Area Foundation. Coldridge Concrete and Ferriello Construction it very generously donated the concrete and the concrete work in order to put the pad in order to put the building on. Had I had to pay for that out of pocket, that would have been $15,000 easily in order to do that work. In addition to that, Audra already mentioned Dan Ford and Ford Enterprises and some of the work that he's done for the town. Dan did our initial site work and will complete the site work once the building is in, and he has agreed to substantially discount his rate as well. So as a result of the generosity of the foundation and the generosity of Coleridge Concrete, Ferrialo Construction, and Ford Enterprises, I'm confident we'll be able to get the building in with the $150,000 that we have allocated for it. So very good news. At this point, I am impatiently awaiting the Hillview Barnyard Builders to bring the frame or the shell over. Originally, we're talking about mid-October. They're having some challenges getting some roof trusses, and so they're doing their best, but they said it could be as late as the first week in November before it's delivered. The electrician is aware of the time frame, the plumber is aware of the time frame, and our finished carpenters, Jeff Boston, who's one of our ski patrollers, is going to be doing the finish work. He did it in the last building as well. So they're all prepared. The goal is to do what we can to get the building ready for when we open the season. Our stretch goal is December 1st to have to be move-in ready. The realistic goal is really December 14th when we plan to open the mountain for the season. But couldn't be any more pleased with the the response from the community, the response from the generous donations that we received in terms of moving things along. If I can, if it's okay, take 2 more minutes and just talk about some of the other things that you'd see if you were come out to the Snow Bowl. If one of the pieces of feedback that I received pretty consistently last year and it's been this experience for many years is the challenge for newer skiers to get onto the double chair because of the grade, if you will, of the climb to get from the slope up to actually being able to get on the chair. The town had lots of dirt someplace they didn't need it. And so we've, over the last couple of weeks, have been moving a lot of that dirt from where we don't need it over to the double chair. So if you're to come out there, you'll notice massive piles of dirt as we're looking to build up and reduce the grade to make it easier for people to get onto the chairlift. Next year, where the trailer was, we have lots of dirt there as well. Unfortunately, I ran out of time with the excavator we rented. But next year, when we hopefully have funds to rent that again, we'll be putting that hill back to where it was, and then we'll have that additional dirt to continue working on that. But I'm confident that will be better. And then finally, the top of the tubing lift has been installed. The electrical work, Hedstrom's was there doing some of the electrical work today, as a matter of fact. The bottom of it will be installed over the next couple of weeks, and then we'll get it certified so that when we open the tubing hill this season, we will have a lift and not moms and dads dragging the tubes up the hill for everybody who's going to be tubing this season.
And that's the Mighty Mike.
No, it's an actual tubing rope tow. We had purchased it from Lost Valley several years ago and finally are installing it.
So I had a question about the ticketing. Is it your intention to have, well, I guess there are peak times. You've got 3 windows. Are you going to be staffing that fairly continuously through the day?
So
3 people?
no, we won't need 3 people. I think what we found last year, the RFID system was new.
Mm-hmm.
And so we needed 3 people and probably more for the first half of the season, just as people were kind of getting adjusted to it. This year, people that are already in the system, it's a piece of cake for them to now, if they have their RFID cards, if they've held on to them, they could buy their ticket right online, save a little money that way, and skip the whole process and go right out and get on the lifts.
So that pass will be reactivated.
That's
for the
right. So
season.
the RFID card is good for as long as we use this particular system.
Right.
They won't need to get a replacement card.
Mhm.
And if you may recall from the budget meeting, we did discount day tickets to encourage online sales, and we think that will help. Anybody who signed up, even for a day ticket last year, as long as they register for it, they're in the system. So the process will be significantly faster this year. So we'll staff it, pretty heavily in the beginning of the season as people are coming in to get their season passes and to get things sorted out. But as the season progresses, we will not need as much staffing in the ticketing area as we did last year.
Great. Excellent.
I have a couple of quick questions. You probably know the answer right away. In the old building, there was a small office in there. I can't remember what exactly it was for, but it
Upstairs?
is in the old building that was taken away. There was a small office. I don't remember what the purpose of that was, managing the ticket line or something, but
The small office, there were two desks in that tiny little space, one for our ski school director and one for our ticketing and programming manager. And if you were to go back to that diagram, there's one desk in the ticketing area, and sort of isn't customer facing, if you will.
okay.
That will be for the ticketing manager. And ski school will have their own space this year in the middle of the building we built last year.
And
So
how
that's
does
area
this-
number 2.
You mentioned it was 24 by 40, essentially. How does that compare to the prior building?
It's smaller than the prior building,
Um,
not by much.
okay.
And the second floor will solve our ski storage problems.
Oh, that's good. And then in the parking lot, what is going to prevent the drop-off area number 6 from people trying to make it 5 and 6 for the drop-off? Will there be a barrier there of some sort?
There'll absolutely be a physical barrier between 5 and 6. And our intention is we have a great group of volunteer mountain hosts at the mountain every year. One of their responsibilities this year will be to staff really the entrance to 5, welcome people, help them, families unload skis, and make sure that they know about the new setup and where to get tickets and rentals and all of that. So that will also help having a physical, presence in that space.
And what will prevent people from turning left after going past 6? And maybe it's the same issue down at the bottom of people going against the tide on the right-hand side. I know you've got stop signs, or you're thinking maybe you'll put a one-way sign, don't enter down there, so people don't head up the wrong way. And the same thing after 6, that people don't take a kind of a natural left there.
Yeah, we may reconsider that space where one of the things we've talked about is being able to make that left past 6
Yeah,
and going around, and we could simply change the diagonal
yeah.
on those parking spaces.
That might be more natural, so that you
Yeah.
don't have to, like, if you went ahead and you missed it, you have to go like all the way around again.
Right, the flow of the new parking, which I think is great. I mean, everything is rational and efficient, and the new parking is going to be great. Most of the parking is in a clockwise fashion, except that loop at the top. And
Right.
and I would make that one clockwise also, just for people like me who,
Consistency.
yes.
I agree, Ken. Yeah, it's after I had finished setting my 300th arrow on this PowerPoint slide, I realized that it's probably makes a lot more sense to go the other way. So that's our intent.
And to your
Okay, so-
point, Chris, about traffic, I mean, those mountain volunteers on busy weekends are out in the parking lot already guiding traffic and making sure that people aren't parking where they shouldn't. So
I think the diagonal parking spaces will also, because if you pull the wrong way, it's going to be kind of wonky trying to figure out how to park.
Mhm.
So, and we have a lot of repeat customers. So hopefully, once we get that social media campaign, the marketing campaign out there, when we talk about it, the open house, and as we have employees parking that way, I'm really optimistic we'll get, early compliance from folks.
Will they be marked, or it'll just be
We'll do our best to market.
the trend, and then
Probably little arrows,
Just-
little arrows
just stick a
guiding
car
people
in each
down.
row,
Yeah.
just as an example of,
We talked about chalk paint that's an option. It's not paved, so paint isn't going to work.
Right.
And so
You'd have to redo it every week.
we would certainly have to do it quite frequently, but it may make sense in the beginning of the season to try to do some of that. Also with the stanchions that we have up, and using cones, there's going to be some growing pains for sure, undoubtedly, but I'm confident that our skiing public will figure it out.
You just mentioned open house. When is that?
I will get you the date. I don't recall it off the top of my head. Do you, Brian? Third weekend in November. But I'll get a date out there. I'll make sure it's on the town website as well.
Great.
Great.
So is that it? Who's presenting the next piece, the long-term lease agreements?
So that would be me
Is
as
that
well.
you as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So one of the things on the agenda this evening is the request for approval of the two contracts, one for snow dogs and one for side country sports. And one of the first things I did last year when I took this role was to come before you with those contracts. And since those initial discussions, and now having a year under my belt with Jason, Brian, and Andrew from Snow Dogs and Side Country, I think it's important to start by talking about what they have contributed to what we were able to accomplish over the course of the year. They were first of all, from our customer base, we get incredible feedback on both, on how supportive they are, on how delicious all of the food is. Like, the compliments just come in. But from my perspective, I want to give you a couple really quick examples. Jason has volunteered and has, for free, served food at some of our events, catered some of our public events that we've had. As we had our Wednesday night group rides at the Snow Bowl, was open. So not only was he doing the Harbor Dogs job in the daytime, but at nighttime, he was coming to the Snow Bowl on Wednesday nights and serving food, which was a massive success. And Side Country Sports has, like, this year in particular, our rental fleet needed upgrading. And our longtime partner, Charlie Pearson, decided at the end of last season that he was retiring from that. And so I turned to Brian and Andrew, and they said, absolutely, we can help, and connected us with all of the right people and helped us place orders so that we had the equipment we needed this year. And also are working on training our rental staff and the indemnification process so that our rental staff can actually do all of the testing and indemnifying, the indemnification that work that needs to be done. And the Side Country actually hosted the rides this summer. So, from my perspective, I couldn't ask for, better partners or throughout this. But it really got me thinking, and Audra, as we were kind of discussing this, about what are our options in terms of how can we perhaps encourage our partners to be willing to make a longer term investment in what's happening out in the Snow Bowl, and not necessarily have to invest in a new contract negotiation year over year. And so there are a couple options that are out there. So really what we wanted to do is present those to you for your consideration. The first one is one you've heard about from a couple times this evening, which is the revocable license with long term. The second one is a lease agreement. The revocable license you're familiar with. You can authorize a multi-year revocable license agreement. It provides greater predictability, but the structure doesn't provide the same level of long-term stability as a lease agreement would. A lease agreement, a long-term lease agreement, would require a town vote, a town approval, in order to enter into that agreement. My request for the select board is that you consider weighing the options of both the revocable license with long-term and the lease agreement. If in fact you think that a long-term lease agreement would be something that would make sense for the Snow Bowl, to authorize me to pursue it. I'm not asking for or presenting any long-term contracts to be presented for a town vote, but I would be interested in your consideration to pursue that. So, Audra, anything you'd want to add to that?
No, I think it's a good summary, but can help answer questions about either.
Anyone have any thoughts about those
Just
options? Chris?
For current historical, how long have snow dogs in side country been? 8 years?
I was going to say.
And snow dog, you've been 4 or 5? Yeah. So, I mean, they're like already established long-term partners.
Right.
Do you get requests from others wanting to supplant either of those services with their business?
No, I have not.
I mean, I can't really see a downside for us as a town because I would expect that it would improve the service because of the reliability and looking to us as a more consistent, reliable partner in your business, which really seems appropriate given the level of service that you've already provided us. I mean, I don't know whether there's sort of implicit in the revocable license sort of that need to keep a back door open, but I can't imagine a scenario where we would, I mean, if we are responsible about a lease agreement, if there needs to be any sort of addressing any issues, we would build that into a lease agreement. But I can only imagine that in order to, with the expenses of business and with timelines of business and delivery times of everything that you're trying to do to keep your business afloat, the longer horizon you have, predictably, the better you are going to be able to plan. And you've demonstrated that you're motivated to do a great job for us. That would be I would like to return your, sort of have it be reciprocal, that you see that we trust you in the same way that you've trusted us and so on, and, have that be a deeper connection.
I'd be supportive of more of a multi-year situation than every year for the same consistency reasons that Susan mentions as well. But
Excellent.
Right, no, I agree that I don't see any downside. But for this year, you're just looking for a 1-year revocable license because that's the format we're stuck with this year.
That's right. This year, there's no change to the contract from last year.
Yep.
Just also seeking your approval for those
To
two
go
contracts
forward
as
with
well.
exploring that option, I think is great.
Correct.
So conceivably, we could prepare that for June.
Yes, yeah, if everyone decides that they want to go with the lease option, then we could get some, and it, similar to the question that was on the ballot this past June in regards to the Montessori school.
Right.
So, we wouldn't have to have it all fleshed out by town meeting. It would be asking for the voters to give approval for the select board to negotiate and enter into the agreements with
Right.
both Side Country and Snow Dogs.
Although I can't imagine, I mean, you've got a lot of that language has already been established.
Right.
Yes.
The Montessori scenario was a little more
Yeah,
complicated.
I mean,
but
this
think
is
a-
just sort of taking the existing contract and metamorphosing that into a
solidifying it
lease
a little bit more and
with a
extending
different
it.
term.
Yeah.
And I think the lease is definitely the easier thing for us to wrap our heads around and gives the same protections as a revocable.
Because then we can look forward to saying, those French fries that we love, we know they're going to be there. My granddaughter will be ready to be out there for her chocolate milk and French fries, hot chocolate and French fries. So that said, let's see. So we could go right on to the license agreements that we've got in our packet. Those are all here. Down for a little
Yep.
further down. Scrolling through. Is there any more that you wanted to add, Jeff,
I guess
to
for the
that? Yeah.
purpose of the meeting minutes.
Yeah.
I guess, do I have, sort of informal agreement from the four of you that you'd like us to pursue a longer term agreement with our two concessionaires at the Snow Bowl?
Yeah, to pursue for the next cycle that, right.
Great.
Yes.
Do you need a motion, Susan, for action item B?
We will when we get to that. Yeah, yes, we will. Those, we do need a motion. So we've got snow dogs. So both of those agreements are here. Hopefully people have had a chance to read through them and look at them.
Yep.
And they're pretty consistent with what we've seen in the past. Any substantive changes that of note that, no,
There were no substantive changes.
okay. So then we would need a motion for each of those.
So moved.
So the first one is for Side Country.
Motion to accept the side country agreement for 4-season concessions.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion on that? All those in favor? And the same for Snow Dogs.
A motion for the contract with
I'll second it.
Snow
All those
Dogs.
in favor? Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope for a great season.
Let's just hope that the fact that we bought 2 new plow trucks doesn't mean there's no snow this winter. That's always what happens.
Oh, it's coming.
You think?
I do.
Okay.
I'm bullish on the snow.
Okay. Thank you for all you do.
Just never put your ski rack on your car until after it starts snowing. That's
Is that skier superstition?
Yeah. All right, and now that brings us to the final piece of business, which is the committee.
Do we not have an
Hey.
update on police coverage?
Audra asked that we hold that until,
Yeah, well, it's really, I'll just give the really
Okay.
quick and we can, go into this longer if anybody's interested in the next meeting. So to make sure that we've got good, steady 24/7 coverage, irregardless of staff shortages, Randy is working with Knox County to make sure that they can cover any of those times where we might have gaps. So that's really the update. Probably could have happened as part of my manager's report. But I thought given, people seeing Knox County Sheriff's Department here helping out, it would just be a good thing to note on its own.
are those overnight hours more likely?
The majority of the time we would have gaps in coverage would be that, as I understand it, midnight to 6 a.m. period of time. So that's when, we'll be relying on them if we have any sort of gaps to fill.
Is there any additional charge that we have? Or is
Actually, no.
Knox County having to ramp up their patrol in order to handle that?
No, I mean, there could be if anything happened, because it's, whoever in the county and in this, how they split up the regions, they could be out on a call further out. So, that would be the, the one thing that we have to keep an eye on. But they're not
Call time, the response time.
response time. Yeah, they're not going to charge us anything additional for it. It's just part of, this service that they provide as a town within Knox County.
were there some recent departures from the police force that necessitate change for the overnight coverage?
There was a departure, and there's a retirement, an impending retirement that we knew about. So that's put a little bit of strain on coverage.
And there's not, how many police officers are there that we have about? 'Cause that's,
So I think, we've got 8 patrol officers right now. So we're down 1, and then with the retirement, we'll have 7.
okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let's look at the committee assignments. We did do a couple of these. And I guess the only ones, so what's remaining here in front of us are the ones that still need to be assigned. So the budget committee, we've got 3 regular seats and 3 members who have already served, who have submitted their interest forms and would like to continue as regular members. So Barb Olin, Meg Sedaris, no, it's Marina Sedaris, it's not Meg. And Deb Meehan, who all 3 served with distinction. I thought they were tremendous additions to the budget committee. So I guess we need a motion, or if anyone has anything that they would like to add to that discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve Barbara Oland, Marina Sedaris, and Deborah Meehan. I think Meg would be rather surprised to find she'd been.
Right. I think the last thing she thought was going to happen was be appointed to the budget committee.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion on that?
One quick question.
Mhm.
Currently, Marina Sedaris is listed as an alternate. Is she going to continue as a full member or as an alternate member?
She'll be a regular member. There are 3 regular member seats
So
available.
does that mean that there'll be one new alternate position available?
Good point. That would appear so, that there would be. If someone expressed interest, we could have an alternate. Yep. But now they'll all be full voting members, which is.
So Margaret Jones is the one who is deciding not to continue, correct? So essentially,
Right, that's.
Marina
creating
gets
the reg-
moved up basically to Margaret Jones's,
Right, creating that
position.
regular member opening. That's correct.
creating the alternate member opening. Well, yes, with the one person,
Yeah.
with Margaret leaving, Marina going in her place,
Right.
it's an alternate that's available.
Right. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Excellent. The next one, we don't have the committee name, but I'm assuming that's.
Rockport Pathways?
Pathways. And let's see, we've got, we've got 5 who want to continue. And 1 new interest. So we have 2 regular member seats and 3 alternates. So that would be the folks who have already served would be continuing on in their current status.
And I imagine we typically give preference to those who have been in the position to go ahead and have the option to continue.
Which they
They
have.
get right.
Yeah.
In other words, so that's why Doug, who is interested, there really isn't space for Doug, unfortunately.
Not at this time.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So that slate looks pretty straightforward.
I will make a motion to approve for the returning members of
Okay.
Pathways.
And a second on that.
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor? All right.
A big thanks to Doug Van Hoyk for,
What's that?
and a big thanks to Doug Van Hoyk for being interested and willing
Yes.
to serve. Hopefully he can be involved.
And now we're on to the cemetery committee.
Yes, Jeff Silkforth is interested in continuing on.
Continuing.
Yeah.
And he's been a good, strong, knowledgeable, and hardworking member, and a great connection with both American Legion and the police department.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I was interested to see that it looks like quite a few of the flag holder medallions have been replaced in Mountain View. Not completely, but I noticed walking through there that, because that was really a tragic loss to see those gone. So they've done a lot of good work between the Legion, I think, and the cemetery committee. So there isn't any space on that committee for a new member, unfortunately. So if we just continue the slate and have Jeff Silkforth continue as a regular member.
Yeah, I move we reappoint Jeff Silkforth.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Yep.
And thank you again to Peter Lindquist for offering to, for
Yeah.
being willing.
So this next one is Harbor. And I've had many conversations with, since I've been liaison, I've had many conversations with Elliot Thompson about this, and conversations with the folks who are interested. And it's our feeling that the two regular members, Ron and Richard Stetson, continue as regular members. And then the two, Steve Gold would continue as an alternate, and Liz Joya would become a regular member. And so that would leave space for one alternate. And in conversation and just reviewing all the folks, and we've had sort of an embarrassment of riches here because we've had a number of really good people.
Yeah.
Elliot and I would defer to the group, but in terms of just knowledge of the harbor and access, and that Nancy Rowe would be appointed as the second alternate. So Steve Gold and Nancy Rowe would be the two alternates, and the regular members would be Liz, Richard, and Ron.
So are you recommending that we go to 6 regular members and 1 alternate? Is that the change you're looking to make? Because I don't see, if Liz becomes a regular member, essentially that alternate position is
Right.
being changed to a regular position.
Which then leaves, and there are 2 alternates on that board.
Right, but if you are, and what I would recommend maintaining Ron and Richard, I'm just not sure of the math. Because there's a vacancy at
Because
the
we had a
top.
There's a
vacancy,
vacancy,
right.
yeah.
Okay,
So we
I
had an
missed
extra
that one.
space. Yeah,
Sorry.
we had an extra space.
That's not a name.
I know.
Yeah.
No, thank you, because this has been confounding me a little bit too. But yeah,
It's not, yeah.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not.
It's easy
So
to,
there's a
Yeah.
vacancy.
Yeah, it's
There's a
easy.
vacancy, and
Right.
Liz is going to take the vacancy,
Right.
becoming
Yeah, Liz,
So it would be Bob Perkins, Elliot, Ron Hawkins, Richard Stetson, Liz Joya as regular members, and then Steve Gold
and Nancy.
and
Rowe.
Nancy Rowe as alternates.
Is there a conflict of interest though with Nancy being hired by?
We've had other.
It's not a
we've-
conflict of interest because she doesn't gain from being on the committee in town. She doesn't own the business, and it doesn't,
There's no personal.
there's no
gain.
personal gain for her. She's a knowledgeable person who's been in the harbor for,
And there's members of that harbor committee have been
Who have worked
employed
in a lot of-
various harbor related businesses.
Liz Joya has a business in the harbor.
Oh, really?
Ron Hawkins has
Had
had
employees
business
of
in the harbor.
employees of Lyman Morse have been on the committee in recent
Yeah.
years.
So that's not unusual.
No.
Peter Lindquist, what, does he not have the same technical knowledge?
I think just in conversation about the, what we need on the committee in terms of the projects that we're taking on, Nancy has demonstrated a capacity and also, as importantly, a willingness to attend all the meetings, which is really one of the criteria because it's a morning meeting.
As his that it's an embarrassment of riches. It's an unfortunate moment where you have several
Yeah,
really
good people.
potentially great people to be on that committee.
You know,
and it
Toby
is-
works in the harbor. Arthur Doherty is a very interesting person who he is a big paddler. I had a nice conversation with him and he would also be interested. So we're going to encourage him to keep an eye on, you know, he was a Lincolnville Select Board member and he was also on the board of Midco Solid Waste. So he knows how things work. We just through conversations about the makeup of the committee felt that Nancy would be the good choice at this point, and then other openings will arise.
What is Steve Pixley's take, or does it not really matter, or Jeremy?
We've talked it through, and I mean, he wants people who understand how the harbor works and who can be part of a functional conversation about it. So, you know, any of these folks would have been good choices, so.
And they were all willing to speak up.
Oh, yeah,
I know Nancy.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't worry about that. So,
I'll make a motion to approve those.
okay,
So that's regular members of Richard Setson, Ronald Hawkins, Liz Joya, and adding Nancy Rowe as an alternate.
I'll second that.
any further, all those in favor? Okay, thank you. And then the last one is Historic Resources. Ken, is there anything you'd like to?
No, it's pretty clear. There are two members up for reappointment, and Brian Boyd and Chris Fesselt are both excellent members, and they're
Mhm.
both willing to continue their service with the Historic Resources Committee.
And Andrew
So-
Barr,
There are two alternates now. Roger Akeley has chosen not to continue,
mhm,
which leaves an opening as an alternate, which would be Andrew Barr.
Andrew Barr, and we'll have one more.
Well, if Janet
Open
Kelsey
spot.
It remains.
continues,
It says two alternates.
Mhm.
right, that would be Janet and Andrew.
Oh, is Janet going to, does she express interest?
Does she want to continue? It doesn't say that she wanted to
I
continue.
think so. I have not had that conversation with her.
Well, all else fails, at least we can get Andrew on there, and if Janet does not,
If he
it
steps
leaves
down,
an
we'll-
opening.
We'll find another.
Yeah. Okay, so motion to approve that slate. Okay.
Sure.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay, so that gets us through all the appointments, and now, you know, I asked you all to think about what you might want to, if you want to continue. I know, Chriso, I'd like to give you the opportunity to, so in addition to these, we have library, Midco Solid Waste, Pathways. Okay, so Pathways is here. Allison expressed an interest. Let me see what she wants to continue library and conservation. So Pathways would be open. Planning. Chriso,
I would be interested. in
you'd be
being the-
interested in planning, and you also expressed interest in harbor. Harbor's the only one that I've got. I think I'd like to hang on to harbor, just because we're sort of starting up a project that we that I think would, unless someone else has a strong desire to take harbor.
What's the project? I'm just curious.
We're looking at the system for the dinghy permits and capacity, just clarifying what the capacity is and how we're defining what is a dinghy and how many can go where, and seems to be a perennial problem. So we're, so
So what did you say, Allison, is the library committee and?
Library
Midcoast
and,
Solid Waste? Or-
and conservation.
And conservation.
So we've got pathways. Would you like to continue with cemetery?
I think so.
Okay. And Chris, I know daytime meetings are,
Yeah, daytime,
challenging?
yeah, right now I'm probably overcommitted as it is,
okay,
if that's okay.
Um,
I'd rather abstain.
okay. And then,
So
So-
I don't have the whole list of committees, so it's a little hard to, because it wasn't.
right. So the other ones that let's see, they should all be on the,
Well, and I sort of, I feel like we've had several that I'm like, which ones are, as Allison staying on, which I don't know which openings are there.
Yeah.
And I will just say, I understand that you're in the middle of that
Yeah.
project, but many of my interests are very harbor related,
Yeah.
not just on the dinghy docks.
yeah. Well,
And so
and
I
I'm
would very
delighted to defer to you on that because I think that you would be a really
I spend
constructive.
a lot of my life around docks and
Yeah.
harbors and boats. And
Yeah, no, I get that.
So,
Well, I would swap with you and take planning.
my only reason for
Oh.
wanting to stay with planning is just because there's several transitions going on right now with them. And
Okay.
I feel like I might be helpful in the first year
Okay,
as some institutional memory because there's a new chair. There will be a new chair. There are
Okay.
several, and I think they're going to have a few issues that I was part of.
So
well,
could I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Before you lock this in, maybe we can come back next time with the full list.
the full list.
What everybody's
That sounds
committed
great.
to.
Yes.
And I also have some projects where we're going to be reaching out to select board members anyway to ask for
On
some
sort
help
of
with
ad
them.
hoc
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
All right.
so we can bring those as well and
Okay.
talk about all of it. So you can get a full,
Yeah, that's probably
Idea.
better.
You know,
all right.
go with
As
what we
long
have
as that,
here.
I'm
Also, probably
glad
good to
that we
have
were able
all
to get the
5 of us.
committees solidified so that if the committees are working on anything, they know who they are. So that sounds great, Audra. Appreciate that. I think that concludes our business for this evening.
Motion to
To
adjourn.
adjourn. I need a second. Any further discussion? No disputes around that? All right, good work. Thank you, everyone. 8:06.
Thanks.
Okay.